chilly in the Keys today. 50-some degrees. Videotaping you.
That's fine, then you'll set up. You have to look over the back of you, sir. Thank you. Algae and jellyfish, and what are known as the Precambrian rock. The only reason I want to bring those guys up for just a moment is because everything that you're looking at already down below you was actually created by a small jellyfish-like creature that has a symbiotic relationship with algae. For jellyfish, coral polyps, it's created all this material. Hydroids and sea anemones, they're all part of the same phylum. They're all called cnidarians, and it simply stands for what we know about those creatures. Now, that limestone that you're looking at here in the Upper Keys, well, that actually goes down for an entire depth of 2 miles. So you can imagine how long it's taken this little critter. It grows less than an inch a year, more like an eighth to a quarter, how long it's taken him to come up to get this kind of depth of sedimentation down below us. I'm going to take a quick little aside before we jump up to our little scaly friends down here. Does anybody happen to know what happens if I take all this line? You certainly find it in construction-grade marbles. Now we're drifting over the top, and you probably already started to figure out down there under about window 5. See that checkerboard fish with that bright red belly? A little bit larger. That's one of our parrotfish. That's the female stoplight parrot. We just saw one of those over on the other side as well. And also you've been seeing leaders. You're getting a ton of the barjacks now, so we're getting quite a bit of feeding action. And then you got this other little small school down here. These are brown chromises. And I want to point those guys out. Those are planktivores. They're coming up. And as I say, motors are going to help move that fork on the tail of these fish. Well, the faster that fish is going to be. And when you're up here dining on top of the water column, or you're one of these barjacks in open water, those are the 2 most dangerous areas in the water in speed. So we are getting to see some fish action. Those are all going to be our predators out here. We've been getting the barracuda on both sides, so that could mean we'll get a few more of those guys. Now, I'm always glad to see the barracuda out here, because it is a species list. Now, unfortunately, I do jump a little bit when I see these new growth, so that's coming back with a little bit of health to it. So we can be excited about that, because health of the reefs throughout the world is a pretty sad and gloomy kind of affair. Here it is, right under here. You can see the fossilized sections on that as well. There's going right behind window 8. There's a perfect view of it. See if we drift over and get that over. See if one of the pieces pops up for you guys over on this side. As I say, that nice healthy colorization. It's very distinctive. It looks a little bit more like moose antlers than elkhorn, but then you'd be surprised how infrequent. Now you think you're a pretty slick swimmer down there with your tanks on and all of that, but you're kind of a big distraction and kind of a klutz in the fish world. Now the barracudas are following you around, and the grunts and snappers are actually by there. That beautiful white edging, so it kind of floors out. Maybe you can see it. Some fossilized staghorn throughout the trip. I've only seen one piece of it about the size of a basketball out here on all my tours in the last couple of years. Actually living in. But it stands for the Greek story of these sisters that had snakes for hair, Medusa gorgon being the most famous of those. And we can get that sensibility if we think of them as hair follicles coming up off the scalp of the reef down below us. Now the soft corals, there's a parrot for you, that striped one. See it nibbling on the rock? It's right under 7 now, green stripe. That's a queen, initial phase queen, and there's a red tail, that large blue one. There it's starting to pop up for you. Let's get you 1 or 2 more over here, just make sure everybody gets a good glimpse of what that fish looks like. Now, unlike the hard corals, they don't make the polyps all living together. Now, of course, I'd be remiss in my duties if I didn't give you at least some of the big fancy names, scientific names for some of these soft corals, so you can go home and impress all your friends with everything that you learned down here on the boat today, as I've been talking about. So I guess it's a pretty good look at those. But on those sea fans, you're going to see those 2 colors. You're going to see kind of blue, and then you're going to see some of their kind of brown. Now, it's not 2 different species of sea fan. It's the same sea fan, but where it's blue. Now, we've gotten a couple of parrotfish on both sides, and I'll keep pointing them out as I do see them. As I say, we've seen about maybe 4 or 5 on our checklist of species, so that's pretty good for a trip, and I'll keep pointing them out when I keep seeing them. But does anybody have any idea why we call them parrotfish? Because they can talk? Did I hear that? Yeah, that's not quite right. It's not the feathers on them either. Actually, Heather has tried to train them to talk, and she's put a small fortune into saltines to make that work for her. All a great loss. But on the next one, and then the Mesoamerican reef off the coast of Honduras and Belize. It comes in second at about 700 miles. And there's another parrot for you right under window 4 now. Coral, we just keep seeing big chunks of it, with little white edges on the top of it. We keep drifting over it. If there's any corals that you are going to be down here, and there's nice pieces we just had, but all that with a little white edge, it looks like kind of romaine lettuce sticking up there. You're getting plenty of it on that side. Are you seeing which one I'm talking about over here? It'll be right on top, white edge, right on the top. Very distinctive. Once you've seen one piece, there's 2 or 3 pieces of it right below it. And that little yellowtail guy, that's a schoolmaster snapper, by the way. Now, it will live up to its name, as I say. It'll leave you kind of a nice rash there. It can last from an afternoon to several days on that. Now, I know it's a popular destination to come down and visit the Christ statue down here, and it's nice that it will bring hellfire upon you. Makes for its own nice little metaphor there, but if you do go down, just admire it for a distance. And this is all fire coral again, under 7 here. All of it is the tall blade-like structure. Now, that wasn't always the case. The boundaries changed. When the statue was originally in Pennicamp Park, it actually was kept clean. Back in the 70s, the boundaries changed, and that went into the marine sanctuary that we're in now. And of course, no coral, that's another parrot, and that was a red tail. And it also had a remora on it, for those that you saw it, a little hitchhiker fish stuck on him. They changed the boundaries, put that into the sanctuary. Well, no coral can be killed for any reason inside these things. Well, that's all that's left of that staghorn coral that I was talking about that was killed off back along with the elkhorn coral. And you're going to see that cast through it. It would be acres and acres of that material. You guys seeing that on the side? All that material, so you get it all down in through there. You see it tucked in everywhere, and as I do, as I say, we pull up the reef, we'll see even more of that. And you're also getting a little bit of a snowstorm. I've been seeing these out the side of my eyes, these little jellyfish-like creatures that keep floating by. There's another parrot right down there. If you haven't seen that, if you haven't been, that's a tasty little fish. Oh, here's the midnight. You got a feeding aggregate of midnight parrotfish. There you go. And that's a rainbow leading the pack. Now those guys, all of them, they're right behind window 7, just chewing away there. That's kind of an unusual little textbook shot there. There they go. Now that's the midnight parrot. That's like you just saw there, and they'll move around. They'll just kind of do a little feeding frenzy on one little spot of algae, and then they'll move on down the reef. Sometimes they are joined. That was a good little catch. And these are the ctenophores, if you didn't know, the little comb jellies like floating through the top here. Now right here on top, this is a little blue tang, but let's see if I get I want to get one of those yellowtails to come down. But now here's these little black fish I was trying to talk about a long time ago. See right down on the top of the rubble in the first 6 to 10 inches of water? There's a little black fish. He's only about 2 inches long. He's going to be right up here on top of the reef now. I got him under each window between 5 and 7. You got to refocus for a moment. But once you see one, you're going to start to see a couple of them down there. Now there goes another parrot down that crevice. And right on the edge of the crevice, that little black fish with a white tail, they're starting to pop up. Those are bicolored damselfish. And I'm going to bring that little guy up for a moment, because I know we've been seeing a lot of the barracudas here. Here, he's right down here, right under 5 and 7. He's right on the edge there. The other reason I want to bring that guy up, because we've been seeing all the barracuda, but it's this little guy here that's the meanest, nastiest, most violent.